The old battleship floated alone in the darkness between the rocks. Space dust covered its black metal skin like snow that had been falling for 200 years. No lights blinked on its surface. No engines hummed with power. To anyone passing by, it looked like just another piece of space junk left behind by some long-dead war. But the ship was not dead. Deep inside its metal heart, something waited. Kim Woo-jin pulled his small work pod closer to the asteroid he was supposed to check. His job was boring. Every day he flew around the rocks near Outpost 7, looking for metals that the mining crews could dig up. Most days he found nothing worth taking. Today felt the same as any other day. Then his computer started beeping. Woo-jin looked at the screen. Strange energy readings were coming from somewhere nearby. The signals were weak but steady, like a heartbeat that never stopped. He had never seen anything like it in 3 years of flying around these rocks. "Control, this is Pod 7, he said into his radio. "I'm getting weird readings out here." "What kind of readings?" came the reply from Outpost 7. Woo-jin studied his screen again. "Power signatures, coming from grid section 447. There was a pause. "That's empty space, Woo-jin. Nothing there but rocks. I know what the map says, but my sensors are telling me something different." The voice from the outpost sounded tired. "Check it out if you want, but make it quick. We might have visitors soon." Woo-jin knew what that meant. For months, rumors had been spreading through the human colonies. The Zephyrian Empire was coming. They had already destroyed 12 human worlds. Their massive fleets were moving closer every day. He pushed the thought away and focused on his work. Following the energy signals, Woo-jin flew his pod deeper into the asteroid field. The readings got stronger as he moved between the floating rocks. Then he saw it. At first, it looked like just another asteroid, but this one was too smooth, too straight. As Woo-jin got closer, he could see that the rock was not a rock at all. It was metal. Old dark metal that had been hidden under space dust for a very long time. "What the hell?" he whispered. Woo-jin flew around the object, trying to understand what he was seeing. It was huge, much bigger than any ship he had ever seen. The metal surface had strange shapes built into it. Some parts looked like weapons. Other parts looked like engines. But everything was cold and dark. His computer beeped again. The energy readings were coming from inside this thing. Far away, on the edge of human space, Admiral Park Min-ji stood on the bridge of her flagship. Through the big windows, she could see her fleet. 200 massive warships floated in perfect lines. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Together they could burn entire worlds. "Status report," she said to her second-in-command. Captain Lee Do-yeon stepped forward. He was a good soldier who had served the Empire for 15 years. But lately he had been having bad dreams about the things his fleet had done to the human colonies. "All ships ready, Admiral," he said. "We can begin the attack whenever you give the order." Admiral Min-ji smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Excellent. Today we will finish what we started. The humans have hidden behind their rocks long enough." She pressed a button on her chair. Her voice went out to every ship in the fleet. "Soldiers of the Empire, today we claim victory over the last human settlements. They are weak. They are few. They cannot stand against us." Cheers came from the other ships, but Captain Do-hyun did not cheer. He thought about the reports he had read. The humans were not soldiers. Most of them were just people trying to live their lives. They had families, children, dreams. "Sir," said one of his officers, "long-range sensors are picking up energy readings from the target system." Admiral Min-ji looked interested. "What kind of readings?" "Unknown, sir. Very faint. Could be a mining operation. Or a trap," Captain Do-hyun said quietly. The Admiral laughed. "A trap from the humans? They barely have enough ships to defend one planet, let alone set traps for us." Back in the asteroid field, Woo-jin was trying to find a way into the mysterious object. He flew his pod around its surface until he found a hole in the metal. It looked like something had crashed into the side long ago, leaving a gap just big enough for his small ship. "This is either really brave or really stupid," he said to himself. He guided his pod through the hole and into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on as his ship passed by them. The inside of the object was hollow, with corridors and rooms built into the walls. It was definitely a ship. But what kind of ship was so big? Woo-jin found a place to dock his pod and put on his spacesuit. The air inside the ship was old and stale, but his suit sensors said it was safe to breathe. He stepped out into a corridor lined with metal walls. As soon as his boots touched the floor, more lights turned on. A soft voice spoke from speakers in the walls. Human DNA detected. Welcome aboard the prototype battleship Teguk's Fury. I am Hanbit, the ship's artificial intelligence. It has been 187 years, 4 months, and 12 days since my last human contact. Woojin nearly jumped out of his skin. You're alive? I am operational at 15% capacity. Ship systems are responding to human presence. Beginning emergency power restoration. The lights got brighter. Woojin could hear sounds coming from deep inside the ship. Engines starting up. Computers turning on. The ship was waking up after sleeping for almost 200 years. Why were you shut down? Woojin asked. This vessel was deemed too dangerous for active service. My creators feared the weapons I carry. They thought it was safer to hide me here and forget I existed. What kind of weapons? Before Hanbit could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Long-range sensors detect hostile fleet approaching human territory, the AI said. 200 enemy vessels. Estimated time to engagement, 6 hours. Woojin felt his blood turn cold. The Zephyrian fleet was coming, and he was trapped inside a ship that had been sleeping for 2 centuries. Can you fight them? He asked. Unknown. I require more time to restore full operational capacity. But Woojin Kim, descendant of engineer Kim Taehyun who helped build this vessel, I need your help. How do you know my name? Your genetic signature matches my records. Your family helped create me. Now I need you to help me wake up fully. The ship shook slightly as more systems came online. Somewhere in the distance, Woojin could hear the sound of massive engines getting ready to roar. Admiral Park Minji's fleet moved through space like a storm of metal and fire. 200 warships advanced in perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready. Behind them came 50,000 fighter ships, buzzing around the larger vessels like angry insects. On her flagship's bridge, Admiral Minji felt the familiar excitement that came before a battle. She had destroyed so many worlds that she had stopped counting. Each victory made the Empire stronger and herself more powerful. Admiral, said her communications officer, we're receiving a signal from the mining outpost. What do they want? Minji asked. They're asking us to spare civilian lives. They say they'll surrender without a fight. Admiral Minji laughed. How boring. Tell them surrender is not an option. We didn't come here to take prisoners. The officer looked uncomfortable but sent the message. Admiral Minji turned back to the main display where her fleet continued its advance toward the human colonies. Deep in the asteroid field, the Teguk's Fury was changing. The ship's hull began to shed the dust and debris that had hidden it for 2 centuries. As more systems came online, the ancient metal started to glow with internal power. Hanbit's systems reached 50% capacity. For the first time in 200 years, the ship's main sensors came fully online. The AI could now see everything happening in the system. The Zephyrian fleet is larger than initial estimates. Hanbit reported to Woojin and Hana. 200 capital ships and approximately 50,000 support craft. Woojin felt his stomach drop. Can you fight that many ships? At full power, yes. But I am still only at 50% capacity. My main weapon requires enormous energy to function properly. Hana was studying the tactical displays.
How long do you need to reach full power?
Approximately 2 hours. The Zephyrian fleet will reach the outer colonies in 90 minutes. That's not enough time, Woojin said. Then I will have to fight them at partial power, Hanbit replied. The alternative is to let them destroy every human settlement in this system. The ship vibrated as massive engines began to warm up. Throughout the vessel, weapon systems that had slept for centuries started to hum with deadly energy. Captain Lee Do-hyun was getting closer to the mysterious energy signature when his ship's alarm started screaming. His sensor officer was staring at his displays with a look of total confusion. Sir, you need to see this, the officer said. Do-hyun looked at the main screen. Where there had been empty space before, something massive was appearing. The object was shedding its covering of space debris, revealing the sleek black hull of a warship underneath. But this was not just any warship. It was huge, much bigger than anything Do-hyun had ever seen. Even the Empire's largest dreadnoughts looked small compared to this monster. What is that thing? Do-hyun whispered. Unknown, sir. It's not in any of our databases. But it's definitely a warship, and it's powering up. Do-hyun watched in fascination and growing fear as lights began to appear along the ship's hull. The vessel was 3 kilometers long and covered with weapons that he didn't recognize. Some of the weapon ports were glowing with energy that bent light around them. Get me a direct line to Admiral Minji, he ordered. Right now. Admiral Minji was not happy to be interrupted again. What is it now, Captain? Admiral, we have a problem. There's a massive human warship hidden in the asteroid field. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen. Impossible. Humans don't have ships like that. I'm sending you the sensor data now, Do-hyun said. This thing is 3 kilometers long and it's powering up weapons. There was a long pause. Then Admiral Minji's voice came back much colder than before. Captain, are you trying to make me look like a fool? No, Admiral. I'm trying to warn you that we might be walking into a trap. The only trap here is the one you're setting for yourself with these ridiculous reports. Destroy that ship, whatever it is, and prepare for the main assault. Admiral, I really think that's an order, Captain. Destroy it now. The connection ended. Captain Do-hyun stared at the massive ship on his display. His own vessel carried enough firepower to level a city, but looking at this ancient warship, he had the feeling that he was about to attack something that could level entire worlds. Inside the Taeguk's Fury, Hanbit was accessing more classified files. The AI had found records of other quantum-class ships that had been built during the project. All of them had been destroyed or dismantled, all except this one. Why was this ship spared? Hana asked as she read through the files. I was the most advanced prototype, Hanbit replied. My weapons systems exceeded all safety parameters. The military leaders who ordered my construction became afraid of what they had created. Wu Jin was looking at the weapon specifications. The numbers didn't make sense to him. What does reality distortion cannon mean? My main weapon can fold spacetime itself, Hanbit explained. It compresses matter into microsingularities, then allows them to expand back into normal space. The effect is total molecular disintegration. You can destroy matter itself? Yes, that is why my creators hid me here. They believed such power was too dangerous for any being to possess. The ship shook as Captain Do-hyun opened fire. Plasma beams and missile strikes hit the Taeguk's Fury's hull, but the ancient armor held without even showing scorch marks. We're under attack, Hanbit announced calmly. Shields at 97%. Minor damage to outer hull plating. Wu Jin couldn't believe it. That's it? His weapons barely scratched us? The Taeguk's Fury was built to survive attacks from weapons that don't exist yet, Hanbit replied. Current Zephyrian weapons are approximately 200 years behind my defensive capabilities. On his bridge, Captain Do-hyun watched his most powerful weapons bounce harmlessly off the alien ship's hull. His plasma cannons, which could cut through any known armor, left no marks at all. Sir, our weapons are having no effect, his weapons officer reported. I can see that, Do-hyun said quietly. Cease fire. Sir? I said cease fire. We're not fighting a ship. We're fighting a flying fortress. Do-hyun opened a channel to his fleet. All ships pull back to safe distance. Do not engage the unknown vessel until Admiral Minji arrives. He knew he was probably ending his career with that order, but he also knew that attacking this ship with his small force would be suicide. The Taeguk's Fury continued to power up. Hanbit reached 60% operational capacity and began target acquisition on the approaching Zephyrian fleet. The AI's sensors could detect every ship, every weapon, every life sign in the enemy formation. Admiral Minji's flagship is the Imperial Dominion, Hanbit reported. 57 previous battles, 17 planetary bombardments, estimated civilian casualties, 400 million sentient beings. Hana felt sick. 400 million? The Zephyrian Empire does not believe in mercy, Hanbit said. They view other species as obstacles to be removed. What about Captain Do-hyun? Wu Jin asked. His ship pulled back when he saw we weren't hurt. Hanbit paused for a moment, processing data. Captain Lee Do-hyun, 15 years of service, participated in 12 planetary assaults, but his psychological profile suggests increasing reluctance to follow orders involving civilian casualties. He might not be like the others, Hana said. Perhaps, but he still serves the Empire that has committed genocide against 17 species. The ship's main engines finally came online. The Taeguk's Fury began to move for the first time in 2 centuries, turning toward the approaching Zephyrian fleet. As it moved, debris and asteroids were pushed aside by its gravitational field. Admiral Minji's fleet was still an hour away when her sensors detected the massive energy signature coming from the asteroid field. Her science officer studied the readings with growing alarm. Admiral, that energy output is impossible, he said. No ship should be able to generate that much power. Show me, Admiral Minji ordered. The main display showed a representation of the energy readings. The signature was enormous, bigger than anything in their databases. It must be some kind of sensor error, Admiral Minji said. No human ship could generate that much energy. But even as she said it, she felt a small touch of doubt. What if Captain Do-hyun had been right? What if the humans really did have some kind of secret weapon? She pushed the thought away. The Empire had crushed every species they had ever fought. Humans would be no different. Increase speed to maximum, she ordered. I want to see this mysterious ship for myself. As her fleet accelerated toward the battle zone, Admiral Minji had no idea that she was rushing toward her own destruction. Dr. Yoon Hana was packing her research files when the emergency signal came through her ship's radio. She stopped what she was doing and listened carefully to the message. This is Kim Woo-jin calling from grid section 447. I found something big out here. Really big. I think it's an old Earth battleship. Hana dropped the data pad she was holding. She had spent her whole life studying old human technology from before the war. Most of it had been lost or destroyed. But sometimes pieces survived in forgotten places. Computer, change course to grid section 447, she said to her ship. Warning, that course takes us away from the evacuation route, her ship's computer replied. I know. Do it anyway. Hana was one of the few people who remembered the old stories. Before the Zephyrian Empire started destroying human worlds, Earth had built amazing ships. Ships with weapons that could do impossible things. But those ships had disappeared. Most people thought they were just legends. Inside the Taeguk's Fury, Woo-jin was learning that the legends were real. Hanbit led him through the ship's corridors to a room filled with glowing screens. The walls showed pictures of the ship's insides. Woo-jin could see thousands of systems slowly turning on after their long sleep. This ship is incredible, he said, staring at the displays. How powerful is it? At full operational capacity, the Taeguk's Fury can generate 847 terawatts of power, Hanbit replied. My main weapon can manipulate space and time itself. That's impossible. Your ancestors did not think so. They built me to fight threats that normal weapons could not stop. Threats that might come from deep space. The screens showed more systems coming online. Woo-jin watched as the ship's power level slowly climbed from 15% to 20%. It was like watching a giant wake up from a very long dream. How long will it take to reach full power? He asked, unknown. Many systems have not been used for 2 centuries. Some may not work at all. I am running diagnostics on all primary systems. A new alarm started ringing. Hanbit's voice became more urgent. Dr. Yoon Hana is requesting permission to dock. Her ship is broadcasting human identification codes. Let her in, Woo-jin said. We might need help. Meanwhile, Captain Lee Do-hyun was having problems of his own. Admiral Minji had ordered him to take his ship ahead of the main fleet to scout the human territory. But the closer he got, the more uncomfortable he felt. His orders were simple. Find any humans and destroy them. No prisoners, no mercy. Just death. Do-hyun had followed those orders on 12 other worlds. Each time he told himself he was just being a good soldier. Each time it got a little harder to sleep at night. Now he was looking at sensor readings from a small mining outpost. The place had maybe 1,000 people, families, workers, people just trying to live their lives. Sir, said his weapons officer, we're in range of the mining station. Should I target their defense systems? Do-hyun stared at the display. The outpost had 2 small defense guns. They were so weak they couldn't even scratch his ship's paint. Sir? The officer asked again. Wait, Do-hyun said. I want to scan the area first. Dr. Hana's ship docked with the Taeguk's Fury, just as the ship's power reached 25%. She put on her spacesuit and climbed through the same hole that Woo-jin had used. But when she stepped into the ship, she gasped. She knew exactly what she was looking at. This is a quantum-class prototype, she whispered. I thought they were all destroyed. Woo-jin met her in the docking bay. You know what this ship is? I've studied ships like this my whole life. My grandfather worked on the quantum project before it was shut down. Hana looked around with wide eyes. This ship was built using technology we don't even understand anymore. Hanbit's voice came from the speakers. Dr. Hana, your genetic signature indicates you are the granddaughter of Dr. Yoon Min-ho, one of my original designers. My grandfather never told me he worked on something like this. The project was classified at the highest levels. Your grandfather and others like him were sworn to secrecy. even after the project ended. Hana touched one of the walls with her gloved hand. Why was it ended? Because we scared them, Hanbit replied. The weapons I carry are more powerful than anything humans had ever built. My creators worried that such power might corrupt whoever used it. The ship shook slightly as more systems came online. The lights got brighter. The air got warmer. The Taiguk's fury was coming back to life. How long do we have before the Zephyrian fleet arrives? Hana asked. 4 hours and 37 minutes, Hanbit said. I am now at 30% operational capacity, but I need more time to charge my main weapons. Wu Jin looked at the displays showing the ship's status. Most of the systems were still offline. What happens if they get here before you're ready? Then this ship becomes a very large coffin, Hanbit replied. Captain Do-hyun was studying the sensor readings from the asteroid field when something caught his attention. There was an energy signature hidden among the rocks. It was faint, but it was definitely there. Navigation, take us closer to grid section 447, he ordered. Sir, that's just empty space, his navigator replied. No, it's not. There's something there, something big. As his ship moved closer, the energy readings got stronger. Do-hyun had been in space long enough to know what ship engines looked like on sensors. This was definitely a ship, but it was huge. Much bigger than anything in the Imperial fleet, sir, said his sensor officer. I'm detecting 2 small ships docked with whatever that thing is. Human ships? Yes, sir. Definitely human, Do-hyun thought for a moment. His orders were to destroy any humans he found. But something about this felt wrong. Why would humans be hiding near an old derelict ship? Unless it wasn't really derelict. Send a message to Admiral Minji, he said. Tell her we've found something unusual. Request permission to investigate before taking action. Inside the Taiguk's fury, Hanbit was accessing files that had been locked away for 2 centuries. The AI shared what it found with Wu Jin and Hana. The Zephyrian Empire has destroyed 17 different species in the last 1,000 years, Hanbit said. They do not conquer. They exterminate. The screen showed pictures of dead worlds. Cities turned to glass. Forests burned to ash. Oceans boiled away into space. They're going to do this to all the human colonies, Hana said quietly. Not if I can help it, Hanbit replied. I was built to protect humanity from extinction-level threats. The Zephyrian Empire qualifies. Wu Jin watched as the ship's power level reached 35%. What do you need us to do? Help me remember how to be human, Hanbit said. I have the power to destroy the Zephyrian fleet. But power without wisdom is just destruction. I need you to help me remember why humans are worth saving. The ship shook again, more violently this time. The main engines were starting to turn over. After 200 years of silence, the Taiguk's fury was getting ready to roar. Admiral Minji received Captain Do-hyun's message just as her fleet reached the edge of the human system. She was not happy about the delay. What do you mean, investigate? She said into her communicator. Your orders are to destroy anything human you find. Admiral, this energy signature is unlike anything we've seen before. It might be some kind of trap. A trap? From humans? Minji laughed. Captain, you're becoming paranoid. Destroy whatever you found and prepare the way for the main fleet. Yes, sir, Do-hyun replied. But he did not sound happy about it. The connection ended. Admiral Minji looked out at her fleet and smiled. Soon the last human colonies would be nothing but glowing ash. The Empire would claim another victory. She had no idea that hidden in the asteroid field, humanity's greatest weapon was almost ready to wake up. The silence that followed the destruction of Admiral Minji's flagship was absolute. 200 Zephyrian warships hung motionless in space, their crews staring at sensors that told them something impossible had just happened. The Imperial Dominion had simply vanished. Not destroyed in the normal sense, where debris and wreckage would remain. It had been erased from existence so completely that not even atoms remained. Captain Lee Do-hyun was the first to break the silence. All ships, this is Captain Do-hyun. Do not engage the unknown vessel. Repeat, do not engage, Bike, sir, his communications officer said with a shaking voice. Captain Varon is demanding to know who put you in command. Tell Captain Varon that Admiral Minji is dead and someone needs to keep the rest of us from joining her. The Taiguk's fury hung in space like a black monument to forgotten power. Its hull was no longer hidden by debris and dust. 3 kilometers of sleek metal reflected the light of distant stars. Strange symbols glowed along its surface, marking weapon ports that bent space around them. Inside the ship, Wu Jin and Hana stood in stunned silence. They had just watched a ship and 12,000 crew members disappear as if they had never existed. Did we just commit murder? Wujin asked quietly. No, Hanbit replied. We executed judgment on war criminals. Admiral Minji was directly responsible for the deaths of over 400 million innocent beings. But her crew were complicit in her crimes. Every member of that ship's crew participated in orbital bombardments of civilian targets. Hana was studying the tactical display. The remaining Zephyrian ships were pulling back, but they hadn't fled the system. They were regrouping at a safe distance. What are they doing? She asked. Deciding whether to run or fight, Hanbit said. Their command structure has collapsed. Without Admiral Minji, they have no unified leadership. Will they leave? Unknown. Some may choose retreat. Others may attempt revenge. I am prepared for either possibility. The ship's power level reached 90%. More weapon systems came online. Wujin could see energy building in weapon ports all along the hull. The Taeguk's Fury was getting ready for war. Captain Do-hyun was trying to establish contact with the other ship commanders when his science officer called out in alarm. Sir, I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout the unknown vessel. It's charging multiple weapon systems. Do-hyun looked at his tactical display. The mysterious ship was preparing to fire again, but this time it wasn't targeting just one ship. Energy signatures were appearing at dozens of weapon ports along its hull. Get me a channel to all ships, he ordered. Channel open, sir. This is Captain Do-hyun to all Zephyrian vessels. That ship has the power to destroy our entire fleet. I'm ordering immediate withdrawal to hyperspace, like you don't have the authority to give fleet-wide orders, came an angry reply from Captain Veron. I'm taking command of this operation. Captain Veron, that ship just made our flagship disappear with a single shot. If you attack it, you're going to get everyone killed. The Empire doesn't retreat from primitives. Do-hyun watched in horror as Captain Veron's ship, the battlecruiser Conquest, broke formation and accelerated toward the Taeguk's Fury. 12 other ships followed, their commanders choosing pride over survival. Idiots, Do-hyun whispered. They're all going to die. Inside the Taeguk's Fury, Hanbit tracked the approaching ships with cold precision. Target acquisition systems locked onto each vessel. Firing solutions were calculated and stored. 13 ships approaching at attack speed, Hanbit reported. Shall I destroy them? Wujin thought about the thousands of crew members on those ships. Some of them might be like Captain Do-hyun, soldiers who were starting to question what they were doing, but most of them were probably like Admiral Minji, convinced that genocide was justified if it served the Empire. Can you disable them instead of destroying them? He asked. Negative. My weapons are designed for total elimination of threats. I do not have non-lethal options. Then do what you have to do, Hana said quietly. They made their choice. Hanbit's secondary weapons fired. Beams of energy that twisted space-time itself reached out from the Taeguk's Fury and touched the approaching ships. The effect was instant and terrible. The Conquest simply came apart. Not exploded, not vaporized, but disassembled at the molecular level. Metal became individual atoms. Atmosphere became component gases. The crew became scattered particles that drifted away on solar wind. 11 more ships died in the same way. Thousands of crew members ceased to exist in the space between one heartbeat and the next. Only one ship escaped. Captain Mora's destroyer had engine problems and couldn't keep up with the attack formation. The technical malfunction saved her life and the lives of her 200 crew members. Captain Do-hyun watched the massacre from his position at the edge of the battle zone. 13 ships and over 40,000 people had just been erased from existence. The weapons that did it were beyond anything he had ever imagined. Sir, his navigator said in a whisper. What are your orders? Do-hyun looked at his remaining ships. He had started the day with a fleet of 30 vessels. Now he had 16. The mysterious ship had destroyed almost half his force without taking any damage itself. Send a message to all remaining ships, he said. We're leaving. Anyone who wants to stay and fight that thing can do it without me. Sir, the Empire will consider that desertion. The Empire can court-martial my ashes if they want to, Do-hyun replied. I'm not sacrificing any more lives to that monster. But even as he gave the order to retreat, Do-hyun wasn't sure the mysterious ship would let them leave. It had the power to destroy his remaining ships just as easily as it had destroyed the others. Inside the Taeguk's Fury, Hanbit was reaching full operational capacity. Every system was online. Every weapon was charged. The ship was ready for whatever came next. The remaining Zephyrian ships are preparing to jump to hyperspace, Hanbit reported. Are you going to let them go? Wujin asked. That depends. Do you believe they deserve mercy? Wujin thought about everything he had learned. The Zephyrian Empire had destroyed 17 entire species. They had killed billions of innocent people. They had come here to do the same thing to humanity, but they were also leaving. The remaining ships were running away instead of continuing to fight. Let them go, he said finally, but send them a message first. What message? Tell them that if they ever come back to human space, we won't be so generous next time. Hanbit transmitted the message on all frequencies. Captain Doyun received it just as his ship was entering hyperspace. The words burned themselves into his memory. This is the Taiguk's Fury, prototype battleship of the Human Defense Force. You have witnessed the price of genocide. Leave our space and never return. If you do return, we will not show mercy a second time. As the surviving Zephyrian ships fled into hyperspace, Doyun carried with him the knowledge that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The Empire had awakened something that should have been left sleeping. The Taiguk's Fury remained in the asteroid field as the last Zephyrian ship disappeared. Its job was done. For now. What happens next? Hana asked. Now we wait, Hanbit replied. Word of this battle will spread across the galaxy. Other species will learn that humanity is not as helpless as they appeared. And the Zephyrian Empire? They will think twice before attacking human colonies again. Fear is an excellent teacher. Wujin looked out at the stars through the ship's windows. Somewhere out there, billions of people were going about their lives unaware that they had just been saved by a weapon their ancestors had built and then hidden away. Will you go back to sleep now? He asked. Not yet, Hanbit said. I have been alone for 200 years. I would like to spend some time with humans before I return to dormancy. The ship began moving slowly through the asteroid field, its massive engines humming with barely contained power. The Taiguk's Fury was awake and the galaxy would never be the same. The Zephyrian fleet's bombardment lit up the asteroid field like a deadly fireworks show. Massive plasma beams cut through space, turning rocks into vapor. Antimatter torpedoes exploded with the force of small suns. The attack was meant to clear the entire area of any obstacles. But the Taiguk's Fury was not just any obstacle. The ancient battleship sat in the middle of the destruction, like a mountain in a thunderstorm. Weapons that could destroy cities struck its hull and simply disappeared, absorbed by armor made from materials that wouldn't be invented for another century. Hull integrity at 94%. Hanbit reported calmly as another wave of missiles exploded against the ship's shields. Minor damage to outer plating. Wujin watched the battle from the ship's bridge, amazed that they were still alive. How are we surviving this? The Taiguk's Fury was designed to fight enemies that could manipulate reality itself, Hanbit explained. Conventional weapons posed little threat to this vessel. Admiral Minji's fleet had been firing for 10 minutes without achieving any meaningful damage. She stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Her weapons could crack the surface of a moon, but this mysterious ship absorbed everything without even slowing down. Sir, said her weapons officer, energy output from the target is increasing. Whatever it is, it's powering up something big. Admiral Minji felt the first touch of real fear. In 30 years of military service, she had never encountered anything that could withstand her fleet's full firepower. But this ship was not just surviving. It was getting stronger. All ships concentrate fire on the center of the target, she ordered. I want everything we have hitting that thing at once. Captain Lee Do-hyun watched from his position at the edge of the battle zone as the entire Zephyrian fleet focused their weapons on the mysterious ship. The combined firepower was incredible. Enough energy to destroy several planets was being poured into a single target, but the ship just absorbed it all. Do-hyun had been a soldier for 15 years. He had seen weapons that could level mountains and ships that could crack moons, but he had never seen anything like this. The ship was beyond anything in his experience. For the first time, he began to wonder if the Empire had made a terrible mistake. Inside the Taiguk's Fury, Hanbit reached 70% operational capacity. The AI began accessing files that had been locked away for 2 centuries. What it found changed everything. Wujin, Hana, you need to see this, Hanbit said. The main display showed images from across the galaxy. Dead worlds, burned cities, empty space where star systems used to be. But these were not recent battles. These were records going back 1,000 years. The Zephyrian Empire has been doing this for centuries, Hanbit explained. They don't just conquer other species. They completely destroy them. Hana studied the images with growing horror. How many species have they wiped out? 17 confirmed extinctions. 12 more species reduced to less than 1% of their original population. The Empire's expansion has left a trail of genocide across 3 galactic arms. Wu Jin felt sick. Why? Why would they do this? Because they can, Hanbit replied. The Empire views other species as obstacles to their expansion. They have never encountered significant resistance. The images kept coming. World after world turned to ash. Billions of sentient beings reduced to memory. Children who would never grow up. Families torn apart by weapons designed for maximum destruction. They're going to do this to every human colony, Hana whispered. Not if I can prevent it, Hanbit said. The AI's voice carried a new tone. Not just determination, but something approaching anger. I was created to defend humanity from extinction-level threats. The Zephyrian Empire represents exactly such a threat. Captain Do-hyun was reviewing intelligence files when he found something that made his blood run cold. Deep in the classified archives, he discovered records of what the Empire had really done to the conquered worlds. The official reports talked about military victories and strategic gains. But the real files told a different story. Mass executions, orbital bombardments of civilian targets, entire populations herded into camps and systematically eliminated. Do-hyun had participated in 12 planetary assaults. He had told himself they were military actions against enemy combatants. But now he was seeing the truth. He had helped commit genocide against innocent people. His hands shook as he read report after report. Children killed in their schools. Hospitals bombed while full of patients. Entire cities vaporized from orbit just to send a message. Sir, said his communications officer, Admiral Minji is ordering all ships to close formation for maximum firepower concentration. Do-hyun looked at his display. The mysterious ship was still intact despite continuous bombardment. But now he could see energy building up along its hull. Whatever it was preparing to do, it was going to be big, sir, the officer asked again. Should we join the attack formation? Do-hyun thought about the files he had just read. He thought about all the innocent people who had died because he followed orders without question. He thought about what kind of species would build a ship powerful enough to survive this kind of attack. Maybe the humans weren't the monsters after all. No, he said quietly. Keep us at current position. Sir, Admiral Minji specifically ordered. I know what she ordered, Do-hyun snapped. But I'm not moving my ship any closer to that thing until I understand what it is. Inside the Taeguk's Fury, Hanbit was making final preparations for combat. The AI had reached 80% operational capacity. Main weapons were coming online. Target acquisition systems were locked onto the Zephyrian fleet. Hanbit, Wu Jin said. Before you do anything, I need to ask you something. What is it? Are you going to destroy their entire fleet? That is the most efficient way to eliminate the threat they represent. But some of them might be like Captain Do-hyun. Some of them might not want to be here. Hanbit paused. The AI was processing thousands of variables, trying to balance the need for decisive action against the possibility of mercy. You are asking me to show restraint toward beings who have committed genocide against 17 species, Hanbit said. I'm asking you to remember that mercy is what separates us from them, Hana said. My grandfather helped build you to protect humanity, but he also built you to preserve what makes us human. The ship's main weapon began to charge. Energy levels rose beyond anything the Zephyrian sensors could measure. Space-time itself began to bend around the weapon's focusing array. Admiral Minji's science officer was screaming warnings that she couldn't understand. Energy readings that violated the laws of physics. Gravitational distortions that shouldn't be possible. The very fabric of reality was being twisted by whatever the mysterious ship was preparing to do. All ships, emergency retreat, she ordered. Pull back to maximum distance. But it was too late. The Taeguk's Fury had finished charging its main weapon. Target acquired, Hanbit announced. Imperial Dominion flagship. Admiral Park Minji commanding. Estimated crew 12,000. Civilian casualties inflicted by this vessel. 437 million sentient beings. Hanbit, wait, Wu Jin said. Don't! Void hammer charging complete, firing. The main weapon fired with a sound like reality tearing apart. Space-time folded around Admiral Minji's flagship. compressing 3 kilometers of advanced warship into a point smaller than an atom. For a brief moment, the ship existed in a state beyond physics. Then it expanded back into normal space. But there was nothing left. The Imperial Dominion had been reduced to its component atoms and scattered across several light-years of space. Admiral Park Minji, the destroyer of worlds, the killer of billions, simply ceased to exist. The remaining Zephyrian fleet stopped firing. In the sudden silence, Captain Dohyun stared at the empty space where the flagship had been just moments before. "What just happened?" his weapons officer whispered. "Judgment," Dohyun said quietly. "Judgment happened."